May 15th. Just wanted to finish my thought from what I was talking about earlier, this element of, hopefully I'll be able to combine them, but that realization, right, that I caused this pain, that I was the initiator of this pain. And I was preparing for this presentation this morning where, you know, we're promoting this element of the victim is not to blame, right? Which makes sense because there's this process that occurs in the healing where you feel guilty. What could I have done different type of thing? And so I was thinking of, you know, Gary, my mom. I just talked to my sister this morning and she started crying because I'm not there again, and you know, she's already starting to plan for wedding stuff, and so she's like, I didn't ask if it was okay with you. I said, it's fine, like, and then she starts crying. She's like, I knew you would be fine. I'm not laughing. I am, but I'm not laughing at her. It's just, again, I don't know what to do with that, right? I mean, I know what to do. I just need to be more mindful, sensitive. I think I just have this ability to just separate myself, right? And even with this person from my past, with the dreams that he's been in, because by the time you guys get to this one, you'd seen all the dreams, and I'm sure of it, if he's watching, which the dream this week showed me that he was watching. He's gonna get triggered. I'm supposed to trigger. So that's the realization where I thought, like, I think I'm meant to trigger people. But then also realizing we all trigger one another, right? It's not just my purpose. But for whatever reason, you know, it's just playing out in that way. In my particular path, that the people who are crossing my path, if they're not in alignment, or if I'm needing to, I will trigger them unintentionally but purposefully. And even, you know, I think people have a hard time with that. I think people just have a hard time understanding that you would purposely trigger someone. It makes sense for them not to get it, right? In terms of this world, in terms of this healing concept. And again, just kind of reflecting back on this friend and hearing her do this. And I just saw her shaking her head, even though we're clearly not in the same space. But I saw her shaking her head as if, you know, realizing that I was fine. And that may have triggered her. So anyways, I sent her a message letting her know that, right? Clarifying that I had no intention to initiate reaching out to her. I don't. She apologized after I left my ex. She actually reached out and apologized because she realized that in our connection, friendship, that evolved into friendship because it wasn't always like that. I kind of kept away from her. Unless it had to do with, you know, mutual acquaintances and stuff. And even when I did reach out, because again, I immersed myself in my ex's world. Like, I didn't really have an outside life. Family was it. Family was everything. Cousins were everything. I lost myself in that. And so when we would go out, it was always about her and her issues and her challenges. And I don't know if it's because she knew the type of work that I did, but it was never about me. And so she apologized after I left. She realized that that was always often the case. And then I wonder if that's probably why I never reached out. I never reached out. Hardly ever reached out. Even that, like, in the beginning I did reach out more or less just because I was trying to navigate, right? Feel out people. But even after, I just stopped reaching out and realizing, right, there was no mutual, like, there really wasn't. So anyways, just going back to this element of feeling pain and looking at these terms, right, aggressor and batterer, victim and survivor, right, this element of recognizing, well, my video that is scheduled to post, having the awareness of being groomed, I think I might have read it. Yeah, I did. And so this element of how do you justify the unjustifiable, right? Then I was even reflecting, like, how is it that I can feel both extremes? Like, I can see the despair and like the extreme side of violence, and then I can also see like a one-time event, right? And then comparing me in that spectrum of like my grooming, my sexual molestation was not like an intense, like the stories that I hear my clients share, but it also wasn't like a one-time thing. Again, with some other stories that some other clients share, I was somewhere in the middle where there was, I don't even know if I was technically in the middle, but somewhere in the middle. It wasn't a one-time thing. It continued over a few years. I think, I don't remember much. I want to say yes. And but the violence, like intense violence, wasn't there. So the intensity was in there, but the duration was there. So then even thinking about him as to why this element of blaming, right? And how like my dreams triggered those emotions. But I now, like even after, I don't tap into the anger or blame. There's some discomfort when I see pictures of him posted on social media, but so that's what I was trying to figure out, like this element of blame, right? Like this situation with this ex-friend of mine, and this element of blame, right? Because she has to forgive me. So there's a certain element of that I have a blame and someone's fault. And so I was trying to like, I wrote the words down: blame, fault, accountability, ownership, like, and I put the question, what's the difference that in the word choices, right? There's more of, I'd have to look it up. I have to really study the words. And then I wrote down, can we look at it in a neutral way? In the sense of like, not immediately at first, but like what I tell my clients when we're shifting and healing trauma, there has to be an emotional shift from what it was at the initial point of impact, and emotionally you're transforming the experience and the emotion tied to that experience in order for it to shift over, right? And I'm just using my examples. Clearly it's easier for me said and done compared to the extreme cases, you know, in terms of how can we shift the emotional charge, right? And there's going to be like avoidance, to avoid reacting emotionally, or to avoid reacting emotionally, or nothing. Because those are the two the polar opposites, right? I'm either emotionally reactive, or I'm numb to it, or I don't have an emotion, or I can't tap into the emotion because I'm blocked. And so then the middle is responding diplomatically, right? Not reacting emotionally, not being too numb to it, where it does it, you know, you need an impact, you need that pain to be able to transform, right? So then I thought about how to justify the unjustifiable, right? And what I learned in my politics class, transformative justice, how to justify the unjustifiable through transformative justice. But in order to do that, we would need a transformative community. This word, transformative, to advocate for a transformative justice, right? And then realizing, well, the community is built of people like you and me. And so then we need to even bring transformative down to the people, the individual being capable of transformation, change. So to a certain degree, we need to believe that we hold the capacity to be transformed. If we blame anyone, do we facilitate that process of transformative healing as well? Because we had a scenario in that class, and I think I might have recorded on it. But yet, by using the word blame, does that impact that process, I wonder? Or it needs to be blame at first, depending on the aggressor's perspective, right? Are they numb and not realize the impact? Or were they on being emotionally reactive that they caused trauma? Because that could happen. I lived that experience with my dad. There was intergenerational trauma and the domestic violence that got triggered. For him, there was fear. It was fear based, that he didn't allow my mom to drive. He wanted control. He didn't have a mom. He lost his mom at the age of 7, and so when his family was his goal in life, because he didn't have that for himself growing up. And he saw the value of a mom, and he didn't want his children to be without a mom. And he wanted to be the sole provider at all cost, not realizing that he went to one extreme and really clipped my mom's wings. But it was trauma-based, because I remember hearing their stories. But I know that sometimes it's not trauma-based, that it really is an element of power and control. Well, even in that case, I mean, when we're, gosh, just overthinking. I know I'm overthinking it. But that's what came out. I'm going to end it there. I have more stories because today was eventful. It was eventful. I guess I'll add it really quick. I went to Dolores Park for a walk. There was some feeling within me that I knew this new fire sign and I were not going to connect. I don't know how I knew, but I didn't want to get stuck in here. I was like, I've been stuck in here all week, sleep deprived. I want to be out. So I went for a walk to Dolores Park before I went to the grocery store. And I just decided to sit there for a little bit. Only to have some guy come sit next to me. And then he's talking to me, and he's wanting to small talk. And I knew he was trying to get my number. And he just seemed really young, like really young. I want to say like mid-20s. I mean, that's like half my age. And the more we talked, it was one, I knew off the bat, right, that it was not going to go if friendship, if that, right? Because of the way he was answering questions. I already knew. I'm like, oh no. And the fact that he was younger. But I entertained him. I was bored. Like, okay. And then he asked me, so can I have your number? I said, sure. And then I gave it to him automatically without realizing, like, Yubi, wait. Tell him that it's only friends first. But I said it out loud first. And then after I said, oh, but only if we're friends first. After I get it, Yubi, right? I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to date. So that came out. And then the funny thing is, tying it back to the presentation, I actually practiced being on a date. And I appreciated the practice of being that character, and I said it in the recording when we were debriefing. I'm like, I appreciate this because I don't know how to date, so I don't have these experience, and I need to practice setting limits and boundaries. This guy seemed non-threatening. Like, I could take him, totally take him. Like, I know how to, like, I was already, so I'll wait for the second story. So anyways, so he pauses as soon as he's like gonna send me a text, because I told him send me a text because I wanted his number too, just to like make sure that there was just something of like mutual, right? But the only reason why I agreed to give him my number was because we started talking about like walks, and he knows like all these cool places, and maybe we could go on a walk together. I'm like, oh, that's public. And he also had just moved to the area, and so I was like, sure, he seems harmless. I could take him. Like, I'm bigger built than he was. And but he stopped. He stopped when I said, but just with friends. But you know, even the thought came to my mind about like, oh snap, like, how do I respond when if someone else were to ask me for my number, like, because I don't know what situation I'm in with this other person either. Like, it's not clarified. So I kind of like it was good for me to be able to reflect and wonder like, oh, like, I mean, I'm not really, you know, we're not official, we're not formal, we're you know, friends with some benefits, but how do I handle that if someone else is wanting my number, right? And so that's why, like, because I wasn't sure, I was like, but regardless, I just wanted to be friends. So he stops and he's like, okay. And then I'm like, he's not gonna text me back or, you know, call me. So he walks away and I see him from a distance and he's just waiting to see. I think he was waiting to see if I would see him, and I saw him in a distance. I'm like, I don't want this guy to know where I live, because I walked there. I'm like, I want to make sure he's out of sight, out of mind. He stopped. So I knew I couldn't see him because I was by the branches. So I'm like, he stopped. He didn't keep going. He's somewhere there. Little did he know that that was my way home. When he left, there was this other guy, kind of creepy, went behind. He stopped and he saw me because I could see him. I was happened to be looking that way, and I could see him in the corner of my eye looking at me. And then he walked slowly behind me, and then kind of hovered almost, and then kind of kept walking to the around the tree. And as he walked, I could see the shadow on him, and I just turned my head as well, because I was just like, oh hell no. Like, I already feel the vibe. I'm like, I don't know. I got you. Like, I'm gonna keep you on my side, and if I need to go confront you, like, you know, I'm not, you know, like, I'd probably be like, do you have a problem, right? So he went and he stayed there and he kept looking my way, and I kept my eyesight where I could see him because I didn't trust him. And he was kind of like, you could tell he was just trying to like play it off, and I'm like, I'm not gonna lose sight of this guy. I'm not. He kept doing it back and forth, and I as soon as he did it, I did it like that, and then he would stop over here, same thing. I was just like, oh hell no. So then he finally sat at a bench, still kept my eyes over there. I wanted to make sure that he took off. He eventually did, and he kept turning around too, and I'm just like, When I felt he was like safe enough gone, I get up and I'm getting ready to walk. There's these three guys that are walking, like, they have music, they have like drinks. I think they were like hanging out. And I had my earphones on, but I took them off, and the guy behind me smiles and he looks nervous. He's like, oh hey, he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, what? And he's like, did you hear my comment? And I said, no, I didn't. I'm sorry. So he's like, I just want to apologize. I didn't mean anything by it. And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you didn't hear my comment. I said, no, I didn't. What did you say? He's like, I really didn't mean anything, but I saw you sitting there, and I said, she should not be sitting alone. Why is she sitting alone? Why is she sitting alone? She shouldn't be sitting alone. And then I said, why? And then he's just like, not that you don't have anybody, but you know, why are you sitting alone? Like, more like questioning, like, why are you sitting alone? Like, and you know, it's Sunday, so the Lord's Park is full of kids, right? And I like going there because, one, I'm bored. Two, it's life unfolding in front of me, right? And sometimes it's nice to just see other people live their life. And so I think he just didn't understand how I could just, my pizza is so burning. But he didn't get it. He didn't see. And so I said, well, would you like to know why I sat there? And he's like, why? Because you were bored? So I entertained the idea. I said, yeah, I was bored. And I'm like, but you know, you guys have a good day. He's like, we got some drinks. You want some? I'm like, no thanks. My pizza's burning. I'm going to end it there. But, all right, bye. It's still Sunday, May 15th. So the interaction with these guys, or at least that first guy, right? It prompted that awareness of like, well, how do I answer? And then still wondering, like, do I really want to date kind of grateful because now I'm even thinking like, should I even tell this fire sign, new fire sign, like really like everything, right? Like the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And then part of me is like, I don't know if I should now, like, I'm like, oh, I don't want, I guess it didn't matter if he pretends to be someone else. You know, like, just, you know, people change. You know, like, when you share new information, there's always, like, a shift, like, oh, you know? I've had that. I know that feeling. when someone does that to you, and, like, you say something, and they're like, oh, you believe that? Like you're... like, you're judged, really, right? Without even having... You're just judged. Then I thought, well, it doesn't really matter because, you know, if he does judge me, then, you know, go for the next guy. I'm overthinking this. I know I am. I don't know. I'm tired. I realized I haven't napped. And then I've been up since like 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just leave a message. A voice message. Doesn't have to be in person, you know? I think I'm just gonna leave him a voice message. Tomorrow. Today. Not today. But tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Cause I don't know how to navigate this. I would ask, like, what do you guys think, right? But by the time you get to this video, it'll be in my past. Alright. I really gotta get to work. I really got to get to work. I'm so tired. Oh, damn. But I'm glad that I'm glad it's just I'm finishing up. I'm finishing. Alright, that's it. Bye. Hi. My name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us, in whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth. This just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at inspired by this process and journey, and I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is great. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. So I hope that as I'm living this experience, and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me.